Hello and welcome to this 10,000 kilometer review of my AJP PR7 600cc single cylinder. I'm going to do this in a similar style as before, where I reviewed my bike after the first Morocco trip. So I've done 10,000 kilometers. That has been one Morocco trip, one trip to Slovenia, which was mainly on road, on the asphalt, and I just come back from another Morocco trip. So what I got here is a list of changes that I did to improve the bike, some slight modifications, and I'll go over them one by one. And we'll go from the front to the rear of the bike, just as before. And we start with the tires. On the front we have the Mitas E13 coming from a TKC 80. I can say that these Mitas are really good. They provide loads of grip, and the front one actually lasts quite well. It lasts long, unlike the rear tire. I really cared about grip in this last Morocco trip, so I have really enjoyed these tires. In the first video, I told you about the brakes. I told you they were adequate and not more than that. Well, that's still the case. These brakes are adequate. The front brake, not more than that. They're actually quite good off-road. On the asphalt, they're a bit poor. I replaced the brake discs, the rotors. The rotors are MotoMaster, and they got the flame profile, and that's of course very cool, very nice. The MotoMaster brakes. I need to get a new magnet for the speedometer to fit these MotoMaster rotors. So don't forget, if you order new rotors from MotoMaster, get the magnet as well, so that your speedometer works. Coming to the speedometer, in the first review I mentioned that the speedometer was really inaccurate. It would jump from number to number, but that turned out to be simply a matter of adjustment. The speedometer has a pickup. That's this black wire right here. That was easily adjusted, and the speedometer is actually very accurate. As mentioned before, the stock handguards were not really great, so I have replaced those with these Cycra Pro Band handguards. Mirrors, the cheapo mirrors that were under. Nothing wrong with the cheapos, but I have replaced them by these TourAttack ones. Easy. I like them from TourAttack, and I think they were about 30 euros a piece. Yeah, there's the air filter. I would like to mention something about the air filter. So here's the original air filter, and this is the same one that's in the bike right now. I happen to have two. There's nothing wrong with this air filter, except that it's hard to clean. It's called because the foam is in this metal wiring, wrapped in metal wiring. So you can clean it pretty easily with what I use is very hot water and soap, powder soap for clothes. Just leave it in there, leave it soaking for a while, and then rinse it out with water. So that works very well, except that it takes ages to dry, and that's the only complaint I have about this filter. There's a company, TwinAir, that's actually about to produce a replacement filter, assuming it will have the same airflow or even better, and it captures the same amount of dirt, so it works well. I would go for the TwinAir, simply because you can clean it more easily. So that's about the air filter. So keep an eye on the air filter. I mean, the capacity is not great. You really need to rinse that thing out pretty often. depending on where you ride, and if you're in the front or in the back of the pack. One of the things that I complained about last time was the fuel filler cap, and although that thing is still pretty clumsy, it now comes out easily and goes back in easily. That's because I have trimmed the seal, the green seal. So that was the remedy for that. Although I think it should just fit properly from the factory, and I shouldn't need to mess with the seal of my fuel filler cap. But still, it was an easy fix, and all is good. The other thing I put on here was this strap, and also the hooks for my giant loop coyote bag. The strap is really nice if you need to pull up your bike after you have dropped it, and it actually bolts into the rear subframe. On the rear we have the Metas E12 tire. It's a they call it a rally tire, and it actually did very well in the rocky and sandy conditions in Morocco. Metas E12. Not going to have a great longevity though, but if you care about grip, then it's a proper tire. The other thing I changed was the brake rotor. Just like on the front, I put the Motomaster brake rotor on the rear, and also some better high performance brake pads that are they don't last forever, but they're very grippy. So good stopping power on the rear, and I've adjusted the free play on the rear brake pedal, which they hadn't done in the factory, unfortunately. So got that taken care of. I got now working rear brakes. They haven't let me down. Nice. Radiator guards made by Portuguese company CrossPro. What can I say about these radiator guards? Not so great. I think they're pretty weak. And when I got them, one of the threads wasn't correctly threaded, so I had to rethread it. One of these tubes here. So yeah, I'm not so happy with those. I think quality can be better. All right, that's about the radiator guards. One other thingy, one of the slight annoyances is that the seat wouldn't stay locked, and the fix was easy. So let me show you what I did. This is the underside of the seat, and we have the locking pin right here. If your seat does not lock properly, it's going to be off only by a hair. And in order to solve it, you just take your small metal file and file off a little bit of metal, and it's just going to be a little bit. You're going to be done after a few minutes of filing off a bit of excess metal. So let's wrap it up. I'll go over the list of modifications one more time. So that's the Motomaster brake discs, front and rear, and on the rear I put on the aggressive brake pads. Yeah, I didn't mention it in this video, but in my previous videos I've mentioned it. I've shown you the whole installation procedure. I put in the new inline fuel filter and the Google Attack sock around the fuel pump inside the fuel tank. I put on the CrossPro radiator guards. Adjusted the speed sensor pickup so that it shows me an accurate speed. The seat didn't stay locked, so I slightly filed off some metal of the locking pin. Cut the excess rubber from the fuel cap, the fuel filler cap. I put on the Sycra Pro Bend hand guards. TourAttack foldable mirrors, the rear strap, and giant loop hooks. I put on the Metas E12 and E13, so-called green band tires. They have a lighter carcass. And that's it, except for the linkage that I broke in Morocco for the rear suspension linkage. It's completely my own fault. It's just high speed and landing with the bike with the linkage right on top of a big boulder. I broke the triangle. The triangle is made out of cast aluminum. It got welded. It's still in place, but I will put in a brand new one, and I will actually put in the 2020 model, which is the CNC, which has been CNC machined, and should even be stronger. Looks cool because it's red, anodized red, really cool. I don't have it yet. When I get it, I'll make a little video of that. So those are my changes. Those are my modifications. The bike is running very well. I'm ready to do. I'm ready for a big adventure, but unfortunately, I have a day job as well. I got to work and make some money for these trips. Keep riding, keep safe, and do it, man. Go have an adventure. It's wonderful. Go out there. Thank you for watching. Ciao.